Holy cow. Jesse Winchester, huh?
No.
Well, I assume from cowboy history?
No. No, he was a singer.
Oh. No, I don't know him.
Not a lot of people do. But it's part of the Jerome history. When I first came here, you know, there's always some musician hero. At that time, Mose McCormick was.
Yes, I've heard that name come up many times.
Yeah, probably from Ed.
Yep.
And
Holy cow, Scott. You're on monumental scale here.
yeah, pretty amazing. That's why I wanted to show it off. Doesn't make sense without this. I'm not sure it makes sense either, but here it is. This is the story.
Will I'm going to ask you a favor as we do this, if you'll speak up a little bit, because I didn't bring a boom mic or anything.
Oh,
so,
you're recording?
Yep.
Oh.
Hey. Now, what do you call this?
I've got actually several names. Its technical name is when a pawn becomes queen. So you can see the disappeared pawn, which is the smallest, weakest, most insignificant piece on the board. But if it succeeds in getting to the other side, it could potentially become
a queen.
The most powerful piece on the board.
Yes.
And then, so this is the change from insignificance to power. And
that's also kind of a callback to Michelangelo saying that the sculpture is within the piece of raw stone.
I've been confronted with that always. He was bullshitting.
Well, the pawn is within the queen is the connection I made.
Exactly, yeah. And then I like to call it dirty laundry as perceived by the clothespin.
You're looking very serious at me right now with the humorous title.
Yes.
You're a man of contrast.
Mm-hmm. Another title for it is The Bickersons in Heaven.
That's a reference I missed.
Well, let's see, you're too young. The Bickersons were one of the early TV
Comedy. Yeah, yeah.
And their whole thing was squabbling. They were the Bickersons.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of course.
So here they are in heaven, and they're still fighting.
Wow, getting some cool light on that bottom part.
Oh, that's going to blow the picture, though. It's too intense. The change is too intense.
Little bit. I'm getting some nice golden glow on the left side there.
Yeah.
Well, show me around.
Yeah, and this is the result of my time with Joanna. See, as a result of my divorce, I left town $50,000 in debt. And I went to work for a friend in a fabrication shop doing architectural trim for 12 years. And at the end, I had a little bit of free time, and I bopped that thing out. And what's the thought behind that is I teach up in Marble, Colorado for the last 32 years. And I see a lot of different things that people will do. And people like to do torsos, and I've always thought that torsos are bizarre. You know, you cut off the legs, you cut off the arms, you cut off the head, and you go straight for the meat. You just go, that's what I'm interested in, that's what I'm going to do. And I thought, that's always really strange. But I know what I can do. I can do a torso that explains itself. You know, there's no legs because she's standing in water. There's no arms because they're hidden by the hair. There's no head because it's hidden by the hair. And then I figured out that I could do this bizarre insectoid kind of thing. But when I did that, I hadn't touched a woman for 12 years. And I thought it was a pretty cool piece, but I thought, you know, with fresh information and everything, I think I could do it better.
I like you, Scott.
This, strangely enough, is a nightlight. It's too light in here for this to actually work, but at night, this whole thing glows. It's pretty cool.
So you work exclusively in marble?
No, you're also looking at limestone and onyx and travertine.
Okay, well, that's ignorance on my part.
Yeah, you're close because they're all basically calcium. I'm going to use some calcite on this one here.
Oh my gosh. I wish I wasn't working the camera.
Yeah, well, put it down, forget about it.
Wow.
The explanation for her is she's in two different positions.
Yes.
She has flipped her dress behind her, flipped it off, and pivoted her arm to her hip. This hand rolls back. She takes a little tiny half step forward and pivots her head, her face forward. And all the movement between the two is slurred. You know, it's like that.
Yeah, it's like a blurred photograph or a, excuse me, leave me alone, whoever you are.
But that's what this is.
I like the way you did that face. And what's she called? Do you have a name?
I have, yeah, I think,
Do you name everything?
oh, I do, but like I say, they often have multiple names. It doesn't matter.
It's kind of an annoyance, isn't it, to
No,
name a work of art?
Sometimes it's fun. Slip slide, I think.
Okay.
Sure.
So Scott, you've been at this location for how long?
Since 88.
I'm sorry?
88.
Since 88 you were in here. Holy cow. Where do you cut?
Right here.
That's your spot, your dust pile.
Yeah.
Is that the new slab you guys brought in the other day?
Yeah. See, after my exile, I decided I was going to make those changes, and I was only going to work small, reasonable pieces. But and that was a good idea, and I did it. But with the cancer, I've decided, well, screw that. I'm going to set myself up for an ambitious piece because it doesn't matter anymore. It didn't matter before, but now it truly doesn't matter. And this is going to be kind of a meditation on cancer itself. This area here is going to have, see, like on her dress, it's all sort of well, all of this is going to reboot. But here in the center, when I did get divorced, you'll relate to this, that wasn't paved, and there was a lot of slag out there, and I would wander in circles around the building, and I would pick up little black pieces of slag, which I found interesting, you know. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in, incise it, and inlay it with the black slag, representing, of course, the cancer. And then the swirl outside is the living tissue and everything like that. But in order to make it acceptable and positive, I'm going to cut that. This is called calcite, honeycomb calcite. And as you can see, it's a translucent golden color.
Yeah, it's blowing out.
And so I'm going to make an arch.
Yeah, that is cool, the way that's transparent.
So the
translucent.
arch is going to come out, about 6-8 inches and span the slag, the cancer.
Ah.
So that's what I intend to do.
What's that weigh? How much does this weigh, this piece?
Marble is 170 pounds a cubic foot.
170 pounds a cubic foot.
And so you're looking at, I don't know, 2
Yeah.
cubic feet?
Yeah.
More than 2 cubic feet,
Yeah.
I think. I'm not sure, I haven't counted it out.
Holy shit.
So it's
Well, I did hear you guys had a bit of an adventure getting it in here.
yeah, we couldn't get it at first, we were thwarted, but I'm in a position right now where everything I try to do somehow seems to be thwarted.
Now, Scott, do you represent yourself, or?
No, I told you that I blew out. The way the money worked was I was about 30,000 down, and working in Colorado, I had reached the point where my motto was, if anybody offers me anything, I say yes. And I was working for several months in Colorado, leaving my wife and child here, sending back the checks, and she left me while I was in Colorado. And I came back, and the divorce. And as a result of the divorce, when I finally left here, in mid-2000, I was $50,000 down, and spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. And one of the things I'd done wrong was believe what people told me about how I was supposed to conduct my career. It was a mistake. I confined myself, I tried to work as large as I could, which was a mistake. And I tried to confine myself to a recognizable style, which was a mistake. Because working here in Jerome as an artist, I was never going to succeed. I was never going to become Scott Owens. But I didn't want to leave here. That was why my wife left instead. And same with you, I think. Okay, and so I thought, well, okay, I put myself in a box in order to succeed. I will not succeed. I'm going to leave the box. That's why some of these pieces that you're looking at are figurative. I don't care anymore. And also, a bad mistake was trying as hard as I could to play the gallery game. I was all over Arizona, and I tried to break into Southern California about the same time that Southern California collapsed.
Yeah.
And so effectively all I ever did was waste time, money, and energy trying to make something that was never really going to work. Selling individual stone sculptures out of galleries, high-end, it's unreasonable, it's not real. And so I decided, well, I'm going to spare myself. I'm not going to even bother.
Did you have a reasonable amount of success? Obviously, you had some.
I had some.
Yeah.
I had some sales, but not enough to justify, no, I never.
I'm dealing with the same kind of situation myself.
You're doomed. Forget about it.
You're doomed.
Yeah, if you are truly what you are, a painter or something like that, then just accept it and see if you can figure out some other way to support yourself, and then indulge in your.
Do what I want to do.
Yeah, my wife kept trying to tell me that what I was doing was a hobby, and she was essentially right. And once I accepted it, I became a lot more content.
With your work?
No, my work is my work, but with my life.
Just your life in general.
Because I didn't have to deal with the frustration of continual failure and rejection,
Right.
which is crippling.
Yes.
It really, by the time I blew out in 2000, I was sick, you know. I took no pleasure in what I was doing because all it did was represent failure.
It was a symbol, yeah.
Yeah, it was just failure. And now I look at it and I go, well, this is really kind of sweet. It's cool.
And now another challenge.
Oh, well, no. This is my second round. I had prostate cancer.
Oh, no way.
Oh, yeah. So I'm marked. But, okay, this is Jerome's history here. See, a long time ago, I was Scott the Pipe Maker. And
For Jerome.
on one of my little tours, I picked up a piece of serpentine here. And look at the date.
1974.
Yeah, I carved that with a hand chisel that I got in trade for something that I've done in Pakistan.
Holy shit, these are... Wow. Now, is... That would be hand chiseled. This is
No.
involve any kind of machine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I use pneumatic chisels. I started out, the first 2-3 years I did hand chisel, but as soon as I got an air compressor, I was off.
Yeah.
And also electric grinders, that sort of thing.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah,
It's almost I just learned about these glass tubes that come in on themselves. What's
Mobius
it?
strips.
It's a three-dimensional. It's an extension of a Mobius strip. What are they called?
Oh, I know what you're
It's a piece of glass that you go inside, and then it comes out the bottom, and now you're on the outside of the surface.
Yeah. I don't know what that's called. Yeah.
Almost like that. Yes.
All of these things have a little story. This is a powerful story right now, as far as I'm concerned. Because this is a whole canned wrap that you're about to get here. My career, my life, everything was folding in on itself in '99. And I had a friend who took one of my sculptures. He was a physician's assistant. He took one of my sculptures to a hospice that he was working for in Payson, where they auctioned it. Made a little sale for me, a miracle. And he told me that they liked my stuff and they wanted a marble angel. But they didn't have any money because they were a hospice, and they thought, well, if you make a little model for it, we'll bronze it and sell the bronzes and use the proceeds, the profits, to finance a marble angel. Okay, because at that point I was saying yes to everything. And I started in on it, but I have a tendency to fuck things up. And so this is how my brain works. I go, all right, angel, I got to do a fucking angel. But here's why I said fucking angel. It's because all of the angels I've ever seen are hot babes. Gay guys. One or the other, you know. And you know, it's kind of a disturbing thing to think about. And I thought, well, you know, I just bet that there's got to be granny angels. There's got to be granny angels. There's got to be. And so I started in on making an old lady angel. And then before long, I started thinking about my mother's death that I'd gone through, which was colon cancer. And I was afraid. I was afraid of the death. But when it came, it was actually quite sweet. It really was. There was nothing to be afraid of. And I watched her being peeled all the way back to a child, you know. And so in the end, I was able to meet my mother as a child. And in a way, it was quite beautiful. It really was. And so I incorporated that experience in this. See, this is actually an angel of death. There are many of them. Some of them are scary, like the guy with the hood and the scythe, and some of them you don't want to
Mess with.
meet. But the one that came from my mom was pretty sweet, pretty nice, and so she did not come for the old lady. She came for the child. And here she's taken the child and is showing whatever it is that death can show you. I have no clue. I haven't seen it myself. And that's what's going on here.
That's a pretty powerful image there, Scott.
I think so.
I like it. Well, as I told you before, just to commiserate with you, my mom came here and died of breast cancer, and, went through that whole process myself.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, show me around some more.
Yeah, but you ought to see the back of it. That just shows the level of insanity that I'm working at.
Oh, goodness. That's beautiful brocade. Yeah. I know I don't have the hours into it that you do. Good God. Well, you're very geometrical and modern looking,
Like I told
most of
you,
this stuff. So is
like
that
I told
early day
you,
stuff?
That was when I was trying to become famous. I was trying to become Scott Owens.
Or marketable?
I confined myself to that particular style, which I evolved.
Right.
And there's a rep behind that. I talked to Robin, and Robin told me that he was the father of perceptionism. And I went, oh, damn, man, the father of perceptionism. I want to be the father of something. And I'd been working in this direction for some time, and I thought, well, it's kind of Cubist, but if I tried to tell anybody that I was the father of Cubism, nobody would buy that shit.
Yeah.
So I know. I am the father of blockitudinism. And then, doing that kind of stuff gets boring after a while, and it's like chewing on triangles for breakfast or something. But I kept sort of slipping in more and more organic forms. And I thought, well, what's going on here? What is this? Oh, I know what it is. I'm also the father of glopism.
Glopism?
Yeah. See, this is sort of like glopism, but particularly the bottom of that pawn becomes queen piece. That's pure glop.
Well, how for us, for those of us not initiated into glopism, could you define that for me?
It's organic as opposed to hard-edged plain.
Okay.
Which is cubist and not blockist, and so I was melding blockism and.
Oh, you said blockism.
Yeah, blockism.
I misheard you.
And well, that's okay because it's all bullshit. So I'm bringing together blockism and glopism. And so I am here to tell your camera and everybody that you are in the presence of the father of blockitudinism.
I am honored.
You are.
And really lucky.
Yes. Yes. And this is another early one. Ed told you about the prevalence of peyote at that time?
Yes.
Well, it was.
Did you partake of that adventure?
Oh, I miss it dearly. That's the only stuff that actually I have any respect for. Acid is just a trip to the circus, and mushrooms are the illusion that you're Jesus Christ or something. But Mescalito here, he is honest. He's just really bone honest. And instead of going, oh yeah, man, you're just like Jesus, you're just cooler than shit, he goes, you know, you're fucked up. Why? Why are you fucked up?
Take a look.
Yeah. And I really respect him.
Does he show you?
Yeah, well, I think that he taught me a lot. I think he did. I'd like to talk to him again, but I'm afraid of what I might hear. You know. But anyway, Castaneda said his face is round and wrinkled and full of warts. That's how come his face is so strange.
I don't remember that. I mean, I'm in your generation. So, yeah, I went through the Carlos books, and I don't remember him describing that, but
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
how
have
he
to look
described
back.
Mescalito.
Huh.
At some point.
Let me get a good frontal of Mr. Mescalito.
One of the interesting ones that was part of the generation before me was Paul Scott, who owned that whole wedge building that started with the triangle there. He essentially owned the whole thing, and I got him to model for me. He was an old guy at the time. And,
It's that face is talking to me.
I always thought it was bizarre, but
It is bizarre.
yeah, I made it that way deliberately. I can do good faces. It's
Of course, no, I get what you're getting
I just
at.
gave him a very strange face.
No, it's strikingly disturbing
Yeah.
and curiously friendly at the same time.
Yeah,
It's like
It's
he's
like her. She's got the same sort of face.
yeah.
Two of them. Yeah. It's almost like they're related. You know.
Well, wow. Holy crap, you got some raw material back there.
That's all pedestals.
Oh. Won't get fooled again. And what's this here on the table? This guy.
Each of these come with their own little.
That's getting pretty gloppy.
Well, what this is I go up and teach again, and I see like the torsos. Another thing that people like to do are what I call loopy bloopies. You know, they do this thing that goes wuzza. Okay. Example of a loopy bloopy right there on the floor. And I thought, well, these days, see, I'm keeping small, and but I'm trying to make them more intense. And so that is a failure because a loopy bloopy connects on itself.
All right.
And that was meant to connect, but I failed to make the final connection. So that is a string. The whole thing, if you go through it, is all one continual string. And so that was just a sort of commentary on loopy bloopies. This is a pseudo bloopy here because again, it doesn't connect. It's got two separate here. And I spent a long time polishing on it, and I thought, well, you know.
What's it say on the? What's inscribed on the?
Here, I again, like I told you, I fuck everything up. On this side, see, I was polishing on it, and I thought, you know, I'm polishing on it, wishing that somebody would, you know, like it and buy it and everything. And this is like I'm polishing on Aladdin's lamp, you know, waiting for the genie to pop or something like that and say, yeah, that's cool. But then I thought, it's all futile because I've learned. And so I wrote, well, may you wish, if you're going to rub on this thing, well, may you wish.
It definitely.
Everybody knows what happens when you wish.
Yes.
There's the rub. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. People don't formulate their wishes very carefully.
Yeah, well, okay, this one is an interesting story. I don't know if it's an interesting sculpture, but when I first came back from my exile at the beginning of 13, I've got a really nice website where for a long, long time. I came in here daily, and I would take a picture and then write a little teeny tiny squib. So you've got a day by day by day progression of what happened from the beginning of 13 up till now. Up lately, see, the only way I can support myself is going to work in Colorado. So that website is only for what happens here, and half the year I'm not even here. And
I'm sorry, can I ask where you teach?
it's a little town in Marble called Marble, where they've got.
Of course.
Yeah, it's 800 feet up in the Rockies, and they've got a giant quarry where all this whitestone comes from.
Ah.
And for 33 years now, we set up people in 3 different sessions with stone, a carving space, electricity, air, and tools, and instruction if they want it, and turn them loose outside.
Nice.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But I worked in a fabrication shop for 12 years, and when I came back, I remember I left sick and disgusted with everything, but now I was hungry again.
Right. Well, that's what you called your exile.
Yeah, and so I needed to prime the pump. I needed to get it going again, like you're trying to do right now.
Yep.
And so the rule for that is don't even think. Just start doing something, and don't worry about anything. And this is what happened. And in a way, it's sort of like my story up to that point.
A frame within a frame.
These are different stones that I've used in my life. And the primary one is marble. And this is all fake. This is not raw, natural stone or anything like that. I just made it look like that because I wanted to pierce it. And then I took a shotgun and I shot a hole through this sheet of copper, which represents Jerome. See here, this is Cleopatra.
Aha.
And this is the gulch here, and this is copper, and so that's where we are here. And I did the 12 years of fabrication, so you can see, the kind of type of work that I would do, this tight architectural shit. But I had put an end to it, and so as part of that hole in the shotgun blast, I did this to illustrate the breaking of the bounds that had been holding.
Right, the past and the...
This is just an old piece of travertine that was taken off of an old building. This is some of the glue that laminated it into place. And it's just like, a stack of books on your shelf that would reveal certain things about you.
Okay. A bit cathartic as well?
Yeah, and it primed the pump. I got going again.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. If I may be selfish for a moment. Wow, you've got some inlay on that one. That's...
Yeah, for the longest time, I looked at the white marble as nothing more than a prepared canvas, just like a painter, and I wanted to do stuff to it.
Uh-huh.
And so I started out with inlay. See that's jet and turquoise.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
On there, but that's very slow and expensive. And so I experimented with the reactive metals. That's tantalum there. And it looks like aluminum foil, but then when you shoot it with electricity, it takes a permanent color like that.
Ah.
And that was interesting.
And what's, is that another marble? Is that a travertine?
That's travertine.
Yeah.
I exhibited that in a museum in L.A., and a couple of women came up to me, and one of them said, "Well, you call this stone deaf. Why? Why you call it stone deaf?" And I went, "Well, it's sort of blocked and everything. Well, I just want you to know that my companion here is deaf." And I went, "Oh, well, I don't mean to So I started backpedaling and everything. And gradually, the deaf woman became more and more embarrassed about what was happening because I was apologizing for being so insensitive as to title something stone deaf. And as a result, I promised to, from that point on, call it earful.
To make up for
Yeah.
your transgressions.
I have a fairly loose, relationship with names for things.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
There's
reveal different things to you.
a portrait bust by Rodin that he did of Mahler. And some extremely rich American woman came into his studio and said, "Oh, that is the most powerful, beautiful, expressive portrait I've ever seen of Mozart." It is. And Rodin agreed. And to this day,
Smart move.
If you see that portrait, it's now a portrait of Mozart.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Do you, would you talk to me about, I want to make a frame. You may not stay in it, but your art, self-discovery or making a statement? Is that a place for conversation?
From my point of view, it is exclusively indulgence.
An indulgence?
Yeah.
So mostly self-discovery then, or well, I guess both. It could be both. People self-indulge trying to make a statement to the world.
Yeah. I've given up on that. I've had to just tell myself it doesn't much matter what the world
Thinks
at all. And this is just something that I do. This is how I justify my time on Earth. That's it.
When did you start?
I got here in '71.
But when did you start sculpting?
Well,
Or indulging in art, any form?
I thought that I was going to be a writer. It had not occurred to me at that early stage that I had absolutely nothing to say, which is kind of a hobble. So what was going to happen was I stayed in a garage that some friends had at the bottom of the gulch, and I got an opportunity to buy my house for $2,000, and I did. My parents' money. And I stayed, but that summer that I spent here, one of the things that got me hooked was we would go out into Chino Valley and dig up pipestone.
Uh-huh.
And I carved pipes for years there. I was Scott the pipe maker.
Probably a pretty good business in Jerome at the
I
time.
bought my house from Ed Dowling.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
He confesses that was the worst mistake he ever made in his life.
Huh.
Yeah. And so I carved pipes, but it took me, I don't know, 3-4 years to figure out that was going absolutely nowhere. And so, being an idiot, I thought, well, I had discovered marble at that point. And I thought, well, I'll become a sculptor and I'll carve sculptures.
What were you doing before that?
I was a kid.
You were a kid.
Yeah, I'd just gotten out of college.
Aha.
ASU.
Oh, okay.
They threw me out of NAU.
I went to both of those too.
Yeah.
My first freshman year in NAU, and then I kind of got thrown out too. But
Yeah, well, what happened to me was I was the only student on the entire campus who had a single room. I was the only person in that room in Old Main.
huh?
And I was,
How'd you swing that?
well, my dad had gone there, and he knew about that room, and he saw to it that I got it. And it was only 30 feet away from a back door. And I kept getting caught with girls.
Shame on you. So what were you studying at ASU?
Well, like I say, literature. I was English.
Oh, okay.
But I was doomed. I was on my way to go get another English degree because that's all you can do with an English degree other than drive a taxi.
Is get another degree.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just stack them up. These are these newer pieces here?
I just finished that one. I just popped that. I just,
No shit. I like that.
Yeah.
How are you pitting it and giving it that texture?
No, this is the natural stone.
Ah.
Kissed it in places.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
And then I just glued these random stones in place.
I like that.
Over there on the floor is my daughter.
Okay, I don't mean to be. Wow, that's cool. That looks good framed. This one right here is your daughter?
No, on the floor over there.
Oh, well, there's a lot to look at, Scott. I missed that. Wow, that's. I'd like you to tell me about that one.
Well, people told me, well, you're a sculptor and you got this brand new fresh kid. You got to, do something with that. And I thought, okay, cool, man. And so I did that. It did not occur to me that it isn't something you can carry around in your wallet.
You can't just show other people.
She liked it. She'd come here and sit on it.
Oh, no way. Oh, cool. Now, it's, it almost feels somehow weirdly appropriate that it's laying flat looking up at the sky. Mm. But it's actually on that wood plaque, or is that just a...
No, that's just for...
Okay, so it was meant to hang on a wall.
I don't know what I meant. I don't...
I understand.
I don't have any justification for any of this. I just do it.
Well, yeah, I guess, God forbid if I'm asking you for justification.
There's a nice little story behind that one.
The face or the...
That was meant to be a series of 3. The first one was, I did that when I was really tortured and trying to work on my attitude and everything. And what it is was a marble sheet, sort of like is behind her.
That it's attached to that, huh?
No, it's not attached, it's one piece. But,
okay.
But this was the image of a guy like this, like he's being... expressed right through that sheet of stone, right? He's going, oh. And if you go around to the back of it, see, he's being pushed out the front of it, and in the back you can see the imprint of a giant fist. They're just going and poking him right through the obstacle. And so that's one way to do it. Now, she is another way to do it. You can just grow right through it. And then the third that was never done would be a child that is just climbing over it. 3 ways of approaching the obstacle. So that's what that is.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah.
Now, are those also pedestals there, or is that just raw marble?
That is onyx from over by Mayer. I got that from an Egyptian sculptor, Sango Braun, who died, and I bought some of his stone.
Uh-huh.
Probably never carved it, but...
Wow.
That chair back there is another example of how I've always somehow succeeded in failing at things that others succeed at. I did that in '76. I went up to Marble in a 1949 Chevrolet milk truck.
The chair you're talking about?
Yeah. And, you know, I told you I started out with just chisels and a hammer, 2.5-pound hammer.
Yeah.
And there's a whole long story of how I succeeded in getting that thing out of the stack, setting it up, and then carving it, and getting it into the back of the milk truck and getting it here. But I never even bothered to finish it. It was just like, oh, that. And
Got a few of those.
and the woman that I work for, Madeline, who's the director of Marble, the thing that I teach at, has made her entire name out of making sculptures that you can sit in and sit on.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and she's had a highly successful career making what I turned my back on. It's embarrassing.
I'm laughing out of commiseration.
Here's another heartbreaker here. Now you see that piece there. Those two curved pieces
Yeah.
continue on either side of that.
They join with this one?
Let me go over there. I want to show you some.
Okay,
detail.
cool.
It's a tragedy. But actually, most of my tragedies were good. My divorce ended up being just the right thing for me. I didn't understand it at the time. And I didn't understand this tragedy at the time. I thought it was a tragedy, but like most tragedies, they turn out to be one of the better things that happens to you. So, like I say, this goes here,
Oh, wow.
there,
Yeah.
and that paper right there is the design for the stained glass that's supposed to fill in these hollow spaces here.
Ooh, nice.
And this is, you know, back when I was doing the stone inlay.
That's a very unusual idea.
That is jet inlay. And at that time, I was up in the basement of that stone building up there. And there's no overhead steel, there's no hoist, there's nothing in order to move anything. I would go to the bar and recruit, you know, beer for anybody. But a particular day, I showed up a little bit too late in the day. And one of the guys that was helping me backed into that piece, which rolled into these three pieces, which were all together. This piece, and both of those pieces were broken to bits.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and once a piece like that is broken, it's unmarked. I mean, my work is unmarketable, but once it's broken, it's farcically unmarketable. And so I stopped. I was going to put stained glass in there, and I was going to have a laminated wood pedestal made so that you could actually stand in the enclosure
Oh, cool.
of this piece that would be up at this height.
Yeah.
That would be cool, but
I think it's a beautiful piece.
well, it was. It would have been mind-blowing, but it would have cost me a fortune to finish it, which I did not have. I would have broken myself before 1999 trying to do something like this. And so that was good.